All right. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. This is Dating Diaries, and I am one half of Dating Diaries, Christal XO. The other half is, of course, Scorpio Moe. So we're about to. Hey, there he is. There he is. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, Scorpio Moe.
Happy hump day. What up? What up? What up, world?
Hey, what's going on? Latasha, Monique, Naomi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Everybody, come on in.
Hopefully, gentlemen, but ladies too. All the ladies.
Absolutely. Come on in and have a seat. It is midweek and it is Wednesday. I think, I enjoy relationship recap, but Dating Diaries is fun for a whole different reason. We have a good time. I'm excited about today.
Oh, you must know something I don't know.
I do not. Thank you, Velma. Thank you so much, Velma. Can I tell you what I did today? I interviewed Nick Cannon.
Okay. Shout out to Nick Cannon.
Yeah, that interview is coming. I literally interviewed him this morning. He is, and I met him before, but just a really nice guy. Really nice guy.
There you go. Not a lot of those in the industry. So when we do get them, I like that. That's good.
Right. Genuine. Not now. He, and now we talked, and I'll share that. I'll be sharing with the channel later. He has some interesting takes on relationships and family, but we'll get into all that next month. But for right now, I just want to give him his props. Definitely enjoyed. Genuine, really good dude. Same on television as you see him in person, exactly the same. So appreciate it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
His funniest moment to me is when Kevin Hart in the Mark Twain Award. They got the Mark Twain Award.
Yes.
And when I tell you he was on fire that night.
I saw it. And you know what? I will say this. So I'm a huge, my favorite guilty pleasure is Real Husbands of Hollywood. When I tell you that show makes me laugh so hard. And I asked him today because I asked him about playing spades and stuff. And so he was like, Kevin Hart, he loves to play against Kevin Hart. And I said, please tell me that you guys may do Real Husbands of Hollywood again. And he said that's definitely never ruled out because they have a love-hate relationship and they enjoy being arch nemesis. So hopefully we'll see them. I love them together. It's hilarious.
There you go.
It's hilarious. But you know what? I want to come out. I want to start with the confession.
Of yours?
Of mine. I want to start with the confession. I wish I had some music, some Usher music. These are my confessions. I have a confession to make. And I just want you to make note of how much of a bigger person I am. Because when I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. I want to put that credit in the bank.
I'm listening.
I don't care if you're listening. I'm telling you, put the credit in the bank because I can admit to both you and our esteemed chat when I am wrong. And ladies, I want to bring this to you all because we together, all of us together, last week, we gave Scorpio Moe and Gun Boss a hard time. And I believed wholeheartedly in our approach opposite them that women should not buy men drinks. I believed it. And I want to be honest and tell you guys a story. I have a very good friend of mine that had been single for quite some time, right? There's a couple of things in this confession, but I appreciate the fact that she shared it with me and I, in turn, am sharing it with you. Okay. So she had been single for a while. She had actually decided to stop dating. She was over it. Things had not just, she was just tired of it. Had some bad experiences, but not even really horrible experiences. Just, just wasn't panning out. And so she moved to a different location. And I kept saying, you may meet somebody in this new place. And she was like, doesn't really seem like it. There's not very many guys in this town. Turns out she went to a party, ran into an old friend from years and years ago, saw the guy and wasn't thinking of, because she's not been in the dating mode, she wasn't even thinking of him as a date. And he came over and was talking to her, excited to catch up. And she said, "Can I buy you a drink?" And he said, "Yes, thank you." And so she bought him the drink. They kept talking. And then she went back to her table. He sent over and paid for all the food that she had. But most importantly, he told her he had always had a crush on her and wanted to talk to her. And he was so impressed with the fact that she did something that most women would not do, and offered to buy him a drink. And they have been talking ever since. So I was like, yikes, yikes. Because she didn't even watch the show, so she had no idea. But I was like, whoa. But this is the thing. There's a couple of things here that I want to make sure that we lean into. Okay. First of all, she was not trying to holler. I know, Muwadi, but I had to keep it real with you guys. I had to keep it real. I had to keep it real. And Miss Carrie, baby, we wish that we were all out there with you. We were virtually. Miss Carrie, baby, says she is sitting on her patio, smoking a cigar, sipping a cocktail, and listening to the show. We want to be with you.
There you go, homegirl.
But yeah, so she had not heard the show, at least that episode. And so when she offered to buy him the drink, she was not trying to hit on him. She was merely having a conversation. And she said, because he kept talking, she was like, oh, she had just ordered her drink. And she thought it was just, she didn't want to be rude and drink her drink in front of him. So she just very, very just naturally asked him, just like she would any other friend. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? If I went out, like if you and I went someplace, I would have no problem saying, you want something to drink? And I'm sure you would do the same thing with me. I just think when it comes to guys that we're dating, we just don't look at it the same. And I think it proved to me, first of all, I was wrong. I will stand in my apology to you and Gun Boss, because I told him and he was like, and definitely wanted to share with the chat my friend's experience, because one drink is not going to bankrupt us. We're doing our thing, ladies. And I was wrong. Now, I do think that the context with which she bought the drink matters. It's someone that she knew. And also she wasn't trying to holler at him. But look at the reciprocation. And the reason that I wanted to share with the chat is because he did say exactly what Gun Boss and Scorpio Moe said. Most women would never do that. And it really impressed him. So that is my confession. Just when I thought, I'm not going to sing the rest of the Usher piece, but you guys know what I'm saying. This is my confession. I was wrong.
I respect you saying that, because you didn't have to say that story. You could have kept it unwrapped, but you shared it with the world, and I appreciate that. It's really gesture. Even if you're putting bait out there, or you're just simply be like, I'm drinking, I see you there, you might be talking, and I'm getting myself. The gesture goes a long way, and it can go different ways. And we applaud that. It's not about the money. It's not about, we're not saying drinks, plural, because we'll turn around and do more. It's just the kind gesture that stands out that we normally don't get. We don't get a lot of compliments. We don't get a lot of justice. Even though women think it, they don't really express it. So when we do it, we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
That's it. Consumer O, welcome back. Welcome back. I have one more. This is not my confession. This is another friend. Another friend of mine. I have another girlfriend who called me, and we were talking a couple weeks ago, and I said, you know what, let me just air this all out today for the ladies. But she had said that she did not date blue collar men. She was not open. She, had some bad experiences, and she was not open to dating blue collar men. And I think, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago about the fact that, first of all, when you look at the stats, blue collar jobs are the most, the safest, the most secure, right now, because AI is taking a lot of other jobs. And also those fields are always going to be necessary and needed, right? And it's also the new millionaires. There's a study that says the new millionaires are people that own companies that are blue collar driven, HVAC, plumbing, electricians, things there. Welcome, Claudine. Come on in and have a seat. Come on in and have a seat. So she said, she had told me years ago, she's a college graduate. She has several degrees, very, very educated. She's in education, and she said she just did not, that was not her cup of tea, and she did not feel comfortable. Well, she met a gentleman who happens to be in the blue collar industry. Welcome, Jamie. Well, you're next. You're next, friend. But she met a young, a man her age that happens to be in the blue collar industry and was in the Navy. And she said, Christal, I take back what I said about not dating blue collar men. Now, the reason that she did not want to date blue collar men, Tammy, let's don't call her closed minded. Let's listen to why. She said that because of her, she's a college graduate, traveled a lot, done a lot, because of her perspective, a lot of times when she would meet men that had not been to college or had not had that same experience, a lot of them were very closed-minded, right? Or, had very limited perspectives. And she wanted someone that she could have a full-bodied conversation with, politics, world issues, civics things, community things. She wanted someone that she could really connect with and that could relate to her on a, in her totality, right? And so a lot of times the men that she met that were not college educated were not able to do that. But this guy, he was in the Navy, right? So he didn't go to college, but he went to the military and he traveled the world. So he's very, very cultured, very well traveled, has learned a lot. And he's just I think he has an open perspective. He's someone that likes to learn. And now after retiring from the Navy, he has owns a company that is a blue collar type service. So I just, again, wanted to bring that. That was not, now I will admit, I did used to think that way, but.
Oh, continue.
I'm out here putting it out and I don't need the extras. Okay.
I got a good memory. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I did think that way, but what I learned through dating is that a lot of times the character is what I really was looking for, right? So a lot of times I would date corporate guys or guys that were very high-level executives, and they would not have the character that I was wanting. And then some of the guys that were in more service-driven jobs would be more family-oriented and more down to earth. And so I think that you have to judge. We're not a monolith, none of us, right? And so I think you can meet a guy who is a VIP of a VP that is extremely narrow-minded and does not want to do things outside of his own way. And you can also meet a plumber that is very narrow-minded. I think we have to just learn to judge people, get to know people, take down our walls, because a lot of times we put up those walls to protect us from running into someone that's like one of the past people that we dated. Like, oh, I don't want to date. Like for me, I said I would not date another Capricorn because I had a horrible experience. But now, I'm glad I don't have to, right? But realistically, every Capricorn is not like my ex, right? And so that's probably unfair to say. I think that a lot of times stereotypes do prove that there are similarities and commonalities, but I don't think you can bank and make that Bible, right? So I just wanted to share that.
I know. Yes. I know that.
Say it again.
No, I ain't dating a Capricorn. I know that.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I just wanted to say it may be unfair, but we talked about it because I think because they're born in the cold winter months. they can be cold to others, but then they're very warm to themselves. Jamie, my best friend is on here, and she is a Capricorn. Her birthday is the same day as my mother's, and I'm just going to put that there. I love you, but I will not date a Capricorn. Not. So I just wanted to share that Capricorn. Yeah, Capricorns are definitely getting strays. That's a whole nother show. But we'll get into that. But I wanted to start today's show with those confessions to maybe help some ladies in the chat, specifically, you know, my friend that is dating this guy from her past, and she's so happy, and it's just such a great thing, and I think it's because she got outside of herself, and I just wanted to share that. I love, love. And I think when it works is usually when we're in a better headspace ourselves. So
that part, I like that. Thank you. And we grow and open-minded to things. I think later on when we start to bump our head on things that don't work, we start to think outside of. That's the come I always think is eerie when in the first three questions it becomes what do you do? Because I think at that point they start to figure out how they're going to respect you. You know, when you say titles, people perk up. And then when you say, you know, I've noticed that. And I think if you talk to the person long enough, you get to know. I think there are some people, I have friends who've been in prison that have a very broad perspective on life. Not because, I mean, you know, they had it in general. They just chose the wrong route. But then some, you know, whether it be they opened their mind and they really slowed their life down and read and met people from all, you know, federal prison, met people from all over the country, you know, and started to think outside of where they grew up or where they lived, and then got out and, like you said, traveled and so on and so forth. You know, sometimes people's just their outlook was just due to what they've seen. And if you didn't see much, sometimes you didn't think much. You didn't think much. You know what I mean? So good for her, man. Good for her.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for her, because I think that when you know, you know. And I think I was talking to another friend of mine. It's like women do so much asking and questioning and talking and asking for advice. And really it's simple. Like when a man is into you, you will know. When he's really into you for real, you will know. And I said to her, I was like, so she's like, they've been talking ever since. It's been like 2 weeks. He reaches out every day. He planned the date like he planned the day. They're not slow. They just do what is important to them. And just because you may not be important to him does not mean you will not be important to the man that is supposed to be for you. So I think the best thing we can do is probably just stop talking about it and just allow yourself to be, and know that when your time is coming, it will come.
There you go. I think when we get a little rhythm, like a little something, we don't ask, but just a little something that we know that, okay, this is cool. We start to just plow forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of times they think, well, men don't. Sometimes if we don't get a response, we keep it moving.
Yeah. Some are very slow, but just because, but if they're too slow, then move along and he'll figure it out.
But no, both sides. That's what I'm saying. Even with her, like, you know, it's just not me it's nothing wrong with showing a man you have interest in him too. You know, I'm not saying you got to go overboard or overdo what he did. I'm just saying we just need a spark so we don't think that we're wasting our time or talking to a wall. You know, okay. And then a lot of, I would just say this. If a man takes 2, you could take 1. That's cool. But if you take none after he took 6, it's just like he's out. You know?
And then you're gonna be sad later. We're gonna get into some online dating issues, but I did my Fox segment this week in studio, and one of there was a dating expert that did a segment right before while I was there, and I watched it, and so I wanted to bring some of his tips. You guys may be familiar with him. His name is Anwar. I pulled a little segment because Jamie is one of my friends. We've been talking about, I'm trying to get her into online dating, guys. I'm trying to get her to allow me to assist, but she may not. But I think we're trying to get her on. So we've got some tips from Anwar here on online dating, and I know we've talked about some. We'll talk about our personal ones after this. But I thought this would be a great. These tips I thought were really good as far as your profile pictures, and a couple of tips I had not heard. So let's listen to his tips, and then we'll talk about if we agree.
Unfortunately, online dating is very visually focused, and so you want to have 6 pictures. One of them I definitely recommend needs to be a black and white picture. Most people aren't doing this, but this actually gets 107% more likes or hearts, so you definitely want to have one of those. Also, everyone looks really good in black and white, so you can put that as your primary picture, or you can just put it in your portfolio of 6.
Nice.
The other thing that I think is really important, the thing that we have to realize when you're doing an online profile is that your online profile is not to find your person, but to start conversation. So don't be afraid in your actual text to ask questions to the reader so that you are allowing them or inspiring them to start conversation. And then for your actual portfolio of pictures, you want to make sure that you have at least 2 full body pictures, as well as pictures that are both focused on you kind of casually living, as well as you traveling, as well as you out and about. You want to represent the totality of your lifestyle, because when people are looking at your profile, they're trying to figure out, do I fit?
Okay, so on the end of that, it cut off. What else he says? They're trying to figure out if they fit into your life, right? And so if all your pictures are of you traveling, that could be a bit intimidating, right? So I think having a representation of everything is good. Another thing he said was not too much skin. Not too much skin. You want to show a balance. And if you show too much skin, then you may get someone who is only interested in the skin. Duh. And then also, I think I love him too. I love him too. Oh, awesome. Oh my gosh, Jersey, that makes me so happy. Oh, that makes me so happy. I love that. Oh, you have to have her reach out to me. But okay, so we want to make sure that we are not showing too much skin. Another thing he said is to smile and show teeth. Show teeth, because if you do not, I think he was saying people respond to warmth. And so not you trying to look sexy and but actually the real smile that actually comes from a honest place. And I thought I had Scorpio Moe's picture here.
I could have told you all this and more.
Well, you do, which is why you're here. But I'm just saying we wanted to make sure that people know that we're not crazy. These tips that we're saying, Anwar, it basically co-signs most of the things that we're saying. And I think we also said no pictures of you with another person that would keep the person from knowing which one is you.
Yeah,
I don't
that trick. I know that trick.
Is it a trick?
Yeah, it's a trick, especially when it's your profile picture. Why is your profile?
I don't think it's a trick.
No, why is it? No, I'm telling you, this is what the Caucasian ladies do that like black men. This is what they do.
Oh, but they're not trying to trick you. They're trying to show you that they're cool with the sisters.
Yeah, don't force it. Listen, you know what they do. They put that they surround themselves with the sisters, and then you're trying to think, well, who is she? If it's one white woman and a bunch of sisters, it's the white woman.
It's the white woman. That's true. That's true. No, and men, but I will say that the men will put group photos, and then you're trying to figure out which one is he. Now, I think that happens because people think that their friend, they're all of our friends are good looking, but sometimes you are the not good looking one out of the friends, or you just never know what that person will be attracted to. So don't put, especially when it's two guys. Come on.
Why would you put that's your profile? Why would you?
I don't know why people do that. But people do it. I have no idea. Why people do that, but they do. They put additional people in their photos, and then sometimes I've seen guys put it where they're the shortest guy in the picture, and there's another tall guy. We're looking at, who is that?
I don't mind it in the gallery of photos. I just don't think it's a good idea. It's the trickery when it's the profile, because it's profile, then you scan and you see the rest.
Yeah, yeah. He said that black and white photos are good photos to use for your profile picture. I never thought of that. You don't like that?
Not the profile. It's good to have. It's cool to have one in there because black and white pictures make everyone look a little better.
That's what he said. I have a black and white photo of me and Gunbox that I just posted on my Instagram.
Once again, that's the trickery. If it's your profile picture should be the best normal without the at least filter the most, that kind of thing, and then that person be interested in scrolling down. But when it's the black and white one, then it sets the tone of uncertainty because everyone looks good in the black and white. It looks better, should I say?
Well, I will have Scorpio Moe's back right now. Hey, you there? He does not date. He does not date out of his race.
No, I do not.
I've never ever known him to do that. Ever. And a lot come at him, at least on social media.
I don't do that. Sorry.
Yeah. So okay. So I wanted us to talk about. First of all, we got to get back to our dating dilemmas, disasters, and deal breakers. So I'm going to ask you for an online dating disaster. Online dating disaster or dilemma, but preferably a disaster.
It was more of a dilemma. I ain't gonna say a disaster because y'all heard all my disasters. Most of the deaf girl and all that was all online stuff. But dilemma, because it wasn't even dilemma, it was a turnoff to me. Me and the young lady were supposed to meet at one point, and no, she said she didn't want to do anything. She just wanted to chill. Well, I can't remember how it was. She was just supposed to come to the crib. Right?
A Netflix and chill from online?
I was going Netflix and chill, right? But she agreed. But then when it came close to the time, she was like, she backed out. But the plan was, I wasn't going to do that. I was going to go to get something to eat, and I was going to chill for a minute, but then I wanted to slide out and get something to eat. And when she canceled, it was all cool. And then we talked like 2 days after the cancellation, and she was like, I was like, yeah, nah. She said she felt bad, and I was like, nah, it's all good. Another time, we get something to eat. We're just gonna chill and then go off and get something to eat. She was like, we're just gonna, oh, well, and then she changed her energy, and it was like if she thought we was gonna get something to eat instead of chill, she would have came, and then I was turned off, and I was like, I'm good.
Because you there said sounds more like catfish and chill.
Yeah, it just sounded like she just wanted to she would have maybe she changed her mind, but once she found out we were going out to eat, then she was like, but damn, I should have did it. And I was like, after I was like, nah, because if no, she said you should have said that. That's what she said, pardon me. And I was like, well, if I had to say that on something you already agreed on, then what would be the difference? And it just turned.
I feel like I have that when I told you a guy would be like, let's meet at Starbucks. So we go to Atlantic Station and meet at Starbucks. And then he sees me and he's like, oh, okay, we can go get dinner now.
I'm saying?
I ain't like it. I was like, what?
That part.
That's not cool. Linda V says, I have a disaster. I asked the guy, what does he do? And he cursed me out. Yeah, see, dudes be so, huh? They be so pressed about, what they do and not confident that's not surprising. Druzy says, I met a guy who had an inaccurate profile picture. In real life, he was about 80 pounds heavier. Yikes.
Could have been pounds lighter, just so you know.
Well, I'm just saying that happens to women as well. Now, Druzy, were you rude to him? Because what would a man have done if you showed up 80 pounds heavier?
Listen, ladies, how many of you ladies have been hat-fished?
We all have, but we all have been other things besides hatfish. We know that men have the hat head, but what about the face? What about the body? What about the man I showed you got out of the car with the little arms?
No, because that one is like, I get that, but even in like the profiling, even at the date, like I would tell you to tell a gentleman to take off your hat, because I had someone recently to tell me how come I used to wear hats.
You did all the time.
Yeah, but not because of anything. You know, I really did. And they asked me, I like you and I was like, you know, the weather was changing. I was like, it's hot. Maybe in the fall, maybe spring, but I don't want to wear a hat like, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever all the time. But I hear women and have said over the years that hatfish, that's a real thing, brothers, whether it be the hairline or no hair. And you got some dudes who have enormous heads, pause. Like, and like this part of their head is big, so they like to wear the hat. And you can always tell because the hat is almost like a helmet. The hat itself is big. You know, you can look at, I ain't gonna name no celebrities, but you can.
Well, I will. LL Cool J. Thank you, Karen Shields, for that super chat. And AM says, I would just enjoy the date anyway. So I asked Mo, he did not respond.
What's that?
What would you do if a woman showed up 80 pounds heavier? Because Druzy said she wasn't rude. They went to an outdoor concert, and afterward she told him that she didn't want to move forward. What would you do?
Let me tell you something, because chances are, Druzy, you didn't pay for that concert. I guarantee you, because you wouldn't have went. When you paying for that, now I did run into that. I met a woman. Remember I told you the chick I called Ribs?
What?
Ribs.
I don't remember no Ribs.
I called the girl Ribs. And you asked me why I called her Ribs. This was like, woo. This might have been 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, we met at Starbucks. And man, she got out the car. Here's the funny thing. She told me she dated Allen Iverson.
And you probably thought that was a good thing.
No, I was like, because the pictures was mad blurry. And you could tell they was old, right? And then I don't remember I told you the chick Ribs.
No, just tell the story. Maybe jumpstart my memory.
Well, I met at Starbucks. I seen her. I get there early. Cause I want to pee. What you looking like? And they be like, "Well, what kind of car you?" I never say the car run. I say a different color because I don't want you to see me before I see you. This way, in case I gotta make a fast escape. So I seen her get out the little tiny car, but she was not tiny. And we just went to Starbucks. I got her a drink, but I told her there was an emergency. I'm not gonna say what the emergency is because y'all gonna really judge me.
We need to know. I confess today. We need to know.
No, it's bad. I used something I shouldn't have used, but I had to.
Do you use a death in the family?
No, it wasn't a death. I would never use a death.
Well, just tell us what it is.
I can't say. But
no, you can't do that. Why are y'all saying I have a knee BL? Why are y'all saying that? I hate you for this. I hate you for this. I do not have a knee BL.
It's hilarious. I like that one. I'm used. That is funny.
Yeah. Oh, forget you. Hey, you there. Forget you tonight.
I went about my way. I do my normal if it's like that. I blocked her before I could even get on the highway. And
you blocked her because she was heavy set?
Well, I told her my excuse and as an emergency, but I told her out of respect, I at least wanted to show up and meet her. But I had to go.
What was the emergency, Mo? I need to know before we can move on. Just out with it.
I don't want to get. It's bad. It's not bad, but it's bad enough, and I don't want to.
But you're making it worse because now we're thinking about all the things you could have said.
Yeah, I said something I shouldn't have said, but
what
it wasn't.
Did you say? Just say it.
Well, y'all gonna make me feel bad And the story's not going to be any good anymore. Can I tell you that after the fact?
No, I need to know now because it lends to the story.
No, I don't want. I will tell you after the fact because y'all going.
We need to know what level of emergency you were in because of these extra pounds.
All right, let me ask the Lord to forgive me first. I told her, you know, the situation with my daughter. And I told her, see, I'm not, see what I'm saying? No judge. You're not supposed to judge.
I'm not judging, but I'm just saying you really wanted to get out of there. You really wanted out of there.
She was really big. Sorry. And short. Like short. Anyway, so you remember you asked me how it was, and I told you, and I kept referring to her as ribs. And you was like, why? Because she was big? I was like, no, but that's funny. That's not why I called her ribs. I called her ribs because when she got back in the car, obviously she was on the driver's side, and the car sank down like this. Now, at the end of Fred Flintstone, when the Flintstones go off, they're at the drive-in movie theater. Mm-hmm. And the hostess comes out and brings a rack of ribs and sets it on the car, and the car tips over. And that's why I call her ribs. Sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Sorry for anybody that's overweight. I'm sorry. That was me then. That was 2011. But
what would you do now if you went out and the person was 80 pounds overweight?
Nah, I wouldn't do it. I learned tricks on how to avoid that now.
What tricks do you know?
Well, first of all, I know if you ask for a social media site, because back then there wasn't no Instagram.
Right.
But if you ask for that, then you're able to go through the profile and you'll see more of the full bodies.
Well, I say now, you're right. I was concerned that he was just now asking the Lord for forgiveness in 2025.
I did it then, but I'm just doing it in front of y'all because
you just wanted us to take that into consideration.
I still feel bad that I used that situation.
I did not expect you to say that.
Well, I was save that. I was trying not to say it.
Right.
You forced it on me.
No, I'm just saying I'm surprised. I wanted to know how much in a panic you were, and you were obviously desperately in a panic, a dangerous panic.
I told her my daughter was in the crisis and I had to go.
Well, I wasn't even going to say the rest of that. I didn't expect that.
And my daughter was not.
And
anyway.
Okay. Well, okay. My God. All right. Claudine says, I went on 3 dates with a man I met online, then received a text message from his mistress telling me he was married. It feels like a script, but the honest truth, I blocked all of them. My God. Tammy, where is your question? Tammy, where is your question so we can give you our opinion? Put it in the chat again. I can't find it.
I know a sugar daddy. Hey,
you there says dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. First of all, can I tell you that is the funniest thing in Mulan. Eddie Murphy as that thing is hilarious. Oh my God, I gotta watch it. That is hilarious, and that is so funny that you said that line. That is hilarious. Oh gosh, such a witty chat. Tammy, put your question in the chat again, and we will answer it. I can't find it. Go ahead, Mo. What were you saying?
I know an old sugar daddy. He was trying to get sugar daddy to someone I know, and his older wife called the woman, called her.
The girl that he was trying to put sugar on.
Yeah, and it was all bad. And she was trying to be respectful. Old school. I don't know if he saw a phone or if he wrote it down on a piece of paper, hit it in the. I don't know. But I know he called her. She was like, yo, see, the old dude was, trying to be on the sugar daddy list.
you know what? I remember I had a friend that was dating a sugar daddy. He might have been a sugar pappy because he was in his 70s. He was not a sugar daddy. I think in the 50s to 60s is a sugar daddy. 70s and 80s is a sugar grandpappy. Like,
That's
yeah, G pappy. So he was in his 70s, and she called me to come have lunch with them. And I was like,
oh, hold on, is this you?
no, the girl that was my friend that was dating the
to have between you and the sugar daddy, you her and her sugar
yeah, she want now that I look back on it,
gotcha.
Probably trying to set me up
No,
because
I'm trying to make sure you was, people on
that wasn't me. I don't really, I've never been, I don't never dated an older gentleman. Older gentleman one time, and I couldn't kiss him. But so she invited me to lunch. Turns out a guy that I was dating knew, I think he did some work for the sugar pappy, right? Mm-hmm. So we're at the table. We went to a steakhouse, and I was sitting across from him, and it was like she and I and he and my friend, and he was eating and he was talking because older men like to talk. They like to tell you stories. I don't know what his mouth smelled like, but I know that he was spitting, and I was just like, well, Druzy said, did his mouth smell like dentures? I know this guy was spitting as he was chewing and spitting, and I was just like, I can't eat my food. I don't want to eat my food because I'm looking at him spitting all over the table. He's literally just spitting, not trying to, but there's a lot of saliva. It was just coming out, and I just was like, how is she doing this? How is she possibly doing this? So he paid for her child to go to private school, and I remember saying, like, because I was working so hard to pay my kids' bills, all their bills, just working myself to down to a stick. And she was like, I am, he's doing this. She said, Christal, you're looking for 1.9. I'm just looking for 3 3s to pay my bills. So he was paying for her. And I I was like, I don't see how you're doing that. He's spitting all over stuff. And she was like, well, I don't have to do much. He can't really do much. Do you know that man found out that she was seeing another person and he tried to strangle her? And she said, you'd be surprised how strong old men are.
That old man's strength is real.
She said that old man put his hands around her neck and liked to choke her to death. And I bet he was spitting the whole time. I was just like, all I know he was choking and spitting and choking and spitting and
And I get you why he was choking her. That's what he was saying. I like to choke you to death.
But the funny thing about it, so she told me all that, and then I happened to be at that same steakhouse a few months later, and he was in there with his older wife, that also was in her 70s. And I was like, my God.
Listen, if he got a pocket full of Viagra and his wife is not active, he's got to put
even that. That wife probably don't care what he do with that foolishness that he got in them pants. All right.
This ain't before where the old man just can't do nothing there. You just rub his leg, show him a little cleavage, and get some cash and walk out the door.
It's not, but that Viagra doesn't mean that you're going to have the cardio to put up with what you can get up.
But whatever he can do, he wants to do that.
I can still see the spit coming across. I was like, oh, you are really, I will go back to work. Sign me up for work today. Okay. I did not say hi. Because when I saw him and his wife, he saw me, and I know he saw me, and he didn't say nothing. I didn't either. I wanted to be like, you old.
Hey, I knew a woman that told me that she met a guy online that was he was handicapped. He was paralyzed from legs down, something to that effect. I think it was in Alabama or something, she told me. And she said this was weird, but he had a I'm not trying to be too graphic, so forgive me. He had a pump. He had to pump it up. Last for so long, then he had to repump. And she said she tried to work with. That's why I give women. Men ain't trying to work with nothing they don't like.
Women do. We are long suffering.
Women, I ain't gonna hold you. If they like you, this how you know they like you. Whatever your situation is, the pump situation, the broke situation, if she really likes you, she will attempt to work with you. I'm not saying she's gonna stay. I'm not saying she's gonna try forever, but she will make an attempt.
Let's get to Tammy's question, because I want to get into this. I know this is definitely true. All right, Tammy says, am I wrong for not disclosing for the first few dates that I was in the military? I sat and listened to my friends arguing if I was wrong. She says, people have assumptions about women in the military. They think we're not feminine, even gay. We have a lot of money and are counting our benefits. Mo, I'll start with you. Do you think she is wrong for not disclosing that she's been in the military on the first few dates?
I would figure in the first few dates, what have you been doing with your life? Would have come up at some point.
Do you think it's wrong for her to withhold that information?
If he never asked that question, then no. But I think at some point, whether he asks or she should volunteer, I don't think it should be. I mean, if it's just going out or nah, I don't. I'll be like, damn, why you have that back? Or that'll be something nice to know. But I don't necessarily think she's wrong.
Do you feel like because I agree with her. I think that people have assumptions about both men and women in the military. But for the women, I could see that they would be classified or a stereotype as not feminine. I definitely could see that. Because, I mean, I'm not being, but Tammy, can you be feminine in the military?
Hell yeah.
I didn't know. Okay, tell me, educate me. Because I just know that they have to do a lot of stuff that's.
I think there's a tomboy energy that might resurface depending on when they went in, or, you know, if they're coming straight out of high school. I think they can have a balance because I wouldn't charge a woman with. I know plenty of women retired, Air Force, Army, Navy. And just to be honest with you, I never, until you just said it, it never even crossed my mind.
Okay. I see. My friend Jamie was in the military, but I know you're feminine because you did not last long. But just joking, She was it was a lot that was required, and she was like, I'm not built for this. But I mean, the ones they just seem very physically fit, which is good. But I just want it's good. But I'm just saying, if she may be able to lift you more than you, definitely can lift more than you.
First of all, I don't know.
Just saying.
I don't know where this information came from, but there's naval balls and galas and military. They travel a lot. They know a lot of other until you just said, to be honest with you, and I might look at other, I don't know. Until you just said it, I never thought about that energy before.
Yeah, I've heard that before, and I don't think that women probably would get charged with the PTSD like men do, because I told you guys I dated 2 guys that were in the military before Gun Boss, and I was like, I'm done. The one guy, he had guns and booby traps all over his house, and he did not want to do anything but be in the house at 6:00 every day. But I tell you, there were guns everywhere. And he had a huge tattoo of an executioner. It was just a lot of scariness. There were guns everywhere.
Well,
and then I dated him for a couple of months. Then there was another one that I went on one day, and he was, we went to Applebee's or something like that. And I know I told you this morning, he was like casing the joint. He was talking about the 4 points of entry. And I was just like, oh, this is I thought we were just having a meal, but he was prepared for combat. And so I was like, I think that maybe this is not for me. And then another one of my friends said she woke up to being choked because she was dating a guy that was in the military. So I was like, I'm not dating any military guys. When I met Gun Boss, he didn't act like that. And so I was wrong. You know, I changed my stereotype, but I'm being honest with y'all. So this is a safe space. I definitely believe that you can be. I just, like I said, I don't know a lot of women that have been there for 20 years. Obviously, Gun Boss does. I don't. My girlfriend that went, she did not last very long. She came back. I think it was less than 4 years, maybe even 2.
I got a homegirl. She was on this show. She's from the Air Force. All she does is travel now. I mean, she still get degrees and she's like a whatever. But sweetest person. I never thought about that. I just know with it might be 50-50 depending on what they saw or what they experienced. I mean, she does have a dog, a service dog.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Very sweet dog, and it calms her. You know, very, very sweet dog. So, but outside of that, I know the only thing that she verbally mentioned was like 4th of July because of the fireworks that go off.
Oh, so she has the same type of PSD issues that Adrian does.
But outside of that, until she mentions it,
I don't know.
Forget that she was in the military, other than the fact that she's retired. You know,
right. Jamie, what was that was it 5 years? I don't think it was 5. I think it was 4, 2, 3, something like that. 2, 1.5, something like that. But you fulfilled your contract. But so Tammy says she grew up at Fort Bragg. More men in the 82nd Airborne get pedicures than women. Yikes. But let me ask you this. So I do think I learned, because I didn't think of men in the military like that. I never really paid attention to that. My ex-husband, his father was an officer, so I knew he made a lot of money, but he was a very high-ranking official. But I did not realize so many men and women target people in the military because they have great benefits, and then they also do have that retirement. So to Tammy's point, and Tammy says she has PTSD. Most of the medical personnel that were deployed do. I appreciate you being honest about that. As you guys know, I've been really honest and transparent about the fact that Gun Boss has that. But one of the things that made me be open to dating him and really respected him is the fact that he told me that early on. He was like, this is what I have. This is what I do. This is what I deal with. You can come to one of my therapy sessions. And he did that. But I never realized that people target them because of their benefits. So to Tammy's point, specifically, as a woman, because I know women definitely look at, okay, let me get a man with benefits and he's got this Army retirement. I'm certain that men do the same thing. What do you think that she should do just to offset that? Because I do think that's an issue.
I mean, I would just say, make sure whatever it is, he's securing his own, whatever that might be. But hopefully, you know, he's securing his own, securing the fact that he doesn't need you, and securing the fact that what you do doesn't matter. You know, I lived in a military town, Coast Guard, Navy, you know, so I lived in Virginia for 9 months, and so both people get targeted. This is
I definitely know men and women get targeted. I would say this, and you may not agree with me, but that's the point of the show. I take the Remy Ma and Papoose and Clarissa Shields and whatever that gentleman's name is that Remy Ma is dating. I don't think that a woman should be the primary provider in a relationship. I feel like if a man is looking for a woman who is going to provide, that's not the man for you. So if you have conversations and, you know, no one can use you unless you allow them to, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with being honest. Tammy, I used to not tell people that I worked in entertainment, right? And because, I would attract a lot of guys that wanted to use me. I had one young guy try to get me to do PR for him for free. Like he was going to get in with me and get me to do something. I'm like, you got me totally mixed up. But I did not tell guys for a short period of time, I would say I was in customer service, right? And then one guy Googled me and he looked me up, which I thought was extremely lame.
Whoa.
I thought that was extremely lame, but I didn't want people that were trying to be groupies or trying to be opportunists, right? One guy wanted to take a picture with your clients and he's all up in the way. But I learned that I am not going to hide who I am, right? And if you respond to it in a way that is unattractive to me, I just stop dating you, right? I'm not going to run, and I'm not going to dim my light just because a guy may find it opportunistic. I'm wise enough to be able to tell you what I do. And I don't go all into detail. I don't even go all into detail, with people that I meet, that I'm friends with, about what all I do, right? So, because it's none of their business. So if I was just dating someone, I would not necessarily tell them the extent of the projects I'm working on. But I do tell them, I'm an entertainment publicist, I have a PR company. And if their response is, ooh, I sure would like to go to a red carpet, then I'm just not going to go out with you. You know what I mean? And so I think for you, I think that it's important, if we're wanting to have authenticity come to us, to be authentic. But I think in that authenticity, you have to be very aware of what the response is, very in tune with your inner self, right? And so if you're telling someone about who you are, because that is a part of who you are, 25 years is a big part of your life, right? You tell them that, and their response is they want to know more, and they're asking about your retirement, and they're doing things like that, then that's a no-go. Even if they're not, but you can sense they don't have their self together, then I would say that's a no-go, because you don't want someone seeing you as an answer to their financial shortcomings, right? So I think as women have to trust our intuition. Most of the time we ignore our intuition, and then we act like, well, I should have told him. No, you should tell him. You should tell him. You should be honest. However, you should listen to your intuition. And if he shows signs of someone that's a user or someone that's not quite on the up and up, then you cut him off and keep it moving. So that's my opinion.
No. What you're saying is 1,000% right. I think when men are approaching women, wherever it might be, especially in this town, because you could be in the same party with a woman that's sleeping on her girlfriend's couch, and on this side, there's a woman that's a lawyer. Yeah. And they're interested in, like, Atlanta's one of those places. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is in the same space. And unfortunately, I agree with you. But it's just that you don't know a lot of times until you hear it. And then, like you said, I will wait to see. The first red flag is to see how they respond, or what could be a red flag is to see how they respond.
But I noticed when I was lying, it was causing me to just be going through too much, right? So I would say I'm in customer service, but then my hours were not customer service in alignment with customer service. So I would have to come up with another lie. And I was like, I don't want to lie. I want to be who I am, and the right person will appreciate that. And there were a lot of guys, unfortunately, that were trying to be opportunistic, specifically in the city that I live in. But I just had to be smart enough to not go out with them,
Right. But at that same token, here's where the double standards go, because we'll tell a woman to go out with that man, but we'll tell a man not to go out with that woman.
Well, it depends on what you want. If a woman wants to be a husband, then she should go provide. If a man wants to be a wife, then he should find, a provider.
I get that part of it. What I'm saying is, like, when we talk about whether we even said it on this show, she should want him more than you want, or whatever those conversations are, and it's like. And then it becomes this dynamic between men and women and work, and it starts to feel like it's tough, because a lot of times you really don't know. You just hear the title, and people can exaggerate on the title or add extra to it. You really don't know. I've seen people with degrees who need to borrow money or don't have. It doesn't mean that they got the job or the career because they got the degree, but I do think that, like you said, if you want the man, and this is the reason why, and I hate to say this, but this is the reason why they did pay men more because they were supposed to be a leader. And then women complained about.
Well, women weren't working.
Let me finish. But then women complained about it not being fair. And then if it's not being fair, we make the same much. They wanted to be fair. But then when you say the 50-50 conversation, then that's fair. So it gets tricky sometimes. Sometimes, like, okay, you want to make what a man makes and you want to be equal, but then you don't want 50-50. But then you don't want the man to make more. And if he does, and then if you do make more, you don't respect him. So it becomes this tricky thing to navigate through, and you'll start to see older men date younger women because he'll know he'll make more than her. I don't know. It's this weird stuff that you're just meeting someone and you don't know what they do. You just like them or like the way they looks in their conversations. Then it could be like, I don't want to get the name. I want to say it was Tammy. I'm not sure who it was. And then you wait to say what you do or what you've been through. And then he didn't know that. He just likes you, but you're cautious. But then a bell might ring, and then he might be on some type of time where he takes advantage of that, but then he might not be. So yeah, it makes this dating thing difficult because you never know someone's true intentions until it unfolds later. And it's real tricky. And I hope I didn't confuse anybody of saying that, but that's just the navigation that we both go through. It's not just one-sided. We both go through this.
But I think, you think in terms of like what's for you. And all of these situations are not for only one, or unless you're a poly person, maybe several are for you. So I think, you just have to find what works for you and then not worry about what doesn't, right? Yeah. There are some women who have no problem with their significant other making less than them if that dynamic works for them. I was talking with a girlfriend earlier today, and she said that she's always known that whoever she would get with, she would make more than them, right? That's just always been her thought process. Every woman is different. I am just speaking for my personal opinion. And I also feel like in some situations that does not work. I feel like Remy Ma and Papoose are an example of that. Just because, and it's not even just the money, it's really because everything in the household is set up to come through her. If everything is coming through one person and the other person is just basically there as an assistant, that's going to be difficult, right? For Tammy, I think for you as a woman who, spent 25 years in the military, obviously you're probably pretty well off, set financially. What I would just say to you is do not lead with that. And I know a lot of times we don't think that we're leading with something, but anything that you have done for 25 years is probably difficult. You probably don't even realize it is such an ingrained part of you, ingratiated part of you. My husband only was in 20 years, right? Almost 21, retired for 20 years. Every conversation that you have, you've gone out with Adrian, how often has he mentioned the military?
I'm going to keep it real with you. Man to man, never.
Okay. So that's so thank you, Lakeisha. So he doesn't, he doesn't seem like he doesn't seem like a vet, but a lot of times when he's in a situation that's difficult or uncomfortable, he immediately falls back to the fact that because he knows he was in such a successful place there, right? So I think that people respond to you based on what you present. And if you go out, there's no way a person can tell you were in the military, right, Tammy? Just by looking at you. So I think if you go out, you get to know a person, maybe the first date is not the time for that. But I do think when it happens, don't stop it. Just allow it naturally. If you're talking about, because 25 years is too long a period of your life to hide, until you can trust the person. I think being honest, it just allows it. But I also think making sure, and all of us should do that. I had to do this because my job was really my life. Mo knows this. And everybody that I met was like, all she does is work. So it took me to date and then realize I have to stop leading so much with work, but work was a big part of who I was. Go ahead.
No, I think in past in your situations when you was single, it's the work, but it's not so much of the work, it's the hours of the work.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have set hours, it could be that type of thing. But like I had a friend that did 20. I just found out yesterday, a guy that I know just came home.
From where?
From prison. He unalived somebody, right? And I was on the phone with someone, and when he said it, he was like, I was just back home and such approached me. I didn't even know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
He went away in 93 and just coming home now.
Wow.
And it's interesting. So the same as the military, it's you got these guys who are very institutionalized.
That may be a little different.
No, but what I'm saying, not really. I'm saying is that environment that you grew up in and that you have to deal with, whether it's survival, isolation, regimen, routine, that kind of thing. Like this is what they done. Even taking a shower with your drawers on. This is because this is what you had to do, and you've been doing.
That is 32 years from it. Maybe he was in a little extra. Hey, you there?
No, I mean you get in trouble. I mean, anyway, but it was just interesting to hear that and hearing you say that. That's anything you've been doing for a consistent basis. For it's not all but at that time that's what, and you really had to do it. This is not like he wasn't in the free world and you're having that mindset of like doing that for X amount of time. And I remember last year Googling the case and reading the transcripts from the court and saying he was about to, because somebody else he was in there with it came home a little 5 years earlier, but being as though he was like the main person, he just came home this year.
Wow.
I can only imagine, he unalived another guy I knew, and you could just imagine his mindset after 30-something years. And I'm thinking about the military as well. This person has been doing something and been trained to do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy thing, but you have to be understand. And I'm glad, hopefully brothers like that and obviously Adrian did put that out in the forefront. So you have at least some understanding and some grace to the situation. And the Remy Ma thing, and I want people to keep in mind this. When they dated initially and they met, he had more money than her. So there's a narrative that's being spun. Well, she had he's the one that had the $1 million deal first. He's the one that had money first. Now, when she got incarcerated, his deal dropped. And that's when the dynamic changed. So you want to see who's there for you. It didn't start off that way. It ended that way or got that way in the middle. But he didn't start off having more money than him.
That's fair. And I think people don't know that part of it. They don't know that.
But men are trained to take care of theirs. But then when they lose it and they're in a situation with somebody, you're going to see who you got with you. It's not only so she's there and he's visiting her every day, but he had more paper than her. And then it changed.
Yeah. So, hold on. Hey, you there said, basically, I was trying to keep that and go to, okay. She says, even if I'm dating someone after 20 years teaching, I'm going to wonder how many lanes you went up to see what that pension looked like and what you do now since people have careers post-retirement. I do think there's some validity in saying, what have you been doing? Because a lot of guys I would meet, I would be like, what? If you're in your 40s, what have you been doing all this time, sir? To be, and realistically, a lot of people, I mean, I went through a divorce in my early 30s, right? A lot of people, when you go through a divorce, you're going to have some financial setbacks. So regardless of when that person went through it, if it's in their 30s, and if it's in their 40s, and their 50s, 60s, whenever, that's going to cause, divorce always causes financial unbalance, right? And so, but I do think the older you are, the less, the more you would probably get charged with not really having anything to show for it. Because if you're in the 20s, it's like, okay, you're trying to get yourself together. 30s, all right, you should be moving forward. But by your 40s and your 50s, if you have nothing to show for your time, I do think that speaks to your character. And I think when people are looking at a life partner, you want a responsible person. So I don't think there's anything wrong with using that as a measure of what, if you're comfortable with seriously taking that person serious.
Can I ask you a question? And this is for you, like really for you. Like, so now looking back at it, would you have dated? Would you have tried to date during that era, early in that era? Why I say that is because you talk about people taking losses and that. Now I know how a man will be judged if they were, but do we judge women on the same thing?
Not because actually, I'll be honest with you. I was probably more attractive then because I was younger and men knew that I needed help. And men love a damsel in distress energy. I think I was more attracted to a majority of men when I was when I was broken. When I started to actually become confident and my money started stacking and my confidence grew and you started seeing me, level up, because I went from, I went from being in this broke down Honda because my ex-husband, took the car. I was in a broke down Honda. Then I was in a Jeep Cherokee that had a busted, it had a black eye, said it had a busted light. And then I bought a Mustang, was my first car that I bought for myself. And then I moved on and on. But when I was driving the car with the busted light is when most men were they want to rescue you, So I would say I should not have dated then, and I didn't date a lot, but I probably should have dated even the ones I did, because not because I didn't have any money, but because I wasn't ready.
Do you think, and this is where it gets tricky, and I think some women get confused. Do you think because they wanted damsel in distress, or you was less of a challenge?
Could be both. I think that they liked the fact that they felt like I needed help, because I had a lot of guys say to me, at least 3 said verbally. So if 3 said it verbally, I'm sure others felt like that. You don't need a man. What you need? You don't really need a man. And I'm like, what? But I've had them say that to me when I had gotten myself together. But when I was downtrodden, well, you need some help. They wanted to, a lot of them wanted to help. Now, those were not the right ones, because anyone who needs you to be at a disadvantage to like you, to me, is just wanting to control you. Right. But that's just my opinion. Lakeisha says, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I do not care how much a man makes because I'm financially secure. However, the man has to have some type of stable career, a decent, clean home, and a reliable car. Okay. I don't think that's unpopular. I think that more women feel like that than say
that. Thank you for saying that.
They won't say it out loud, because if that wasn't the case, all the average salary of a black man is not 6 figures. So and most men have some women in their lives. So obviously women are not waiting on the 6 figures. They're saying that, but they're not, because I know so many men that don't have 6 figures that have a harem of women. So obviously, Lakeisha, you're just being real, and most people are not.
I'm glad it made me think about something I saw today. I screenshotted it too, but I was talking about divorces, the percentage, right?
Hold on, go watch it later. I told that story in the beginning. You just now tuning in. Okay.
It was straight couples, gay couples, and male. The male and female, female to female, male to male, and straight. Do you know what the highest divorce rate is between the 3?
What?
This is crazy. It's women to women.
That's not surprising to me.
It's like, but it goes to show you something. Men to men is less. And I remember the quote, the number. I know the regular is men to women is 74%. Women to women is 70 something percent divorce rate. And I think other than that, it's like 20 something men to men.
But men to men, this is just my opinion. And if there's anybody in the chat that could speak up to this, most man on man relationships, the LBC relationships that are male, that are man and a man with another man, they're open.
I don't know, but I know their divorce rate is the lowest.
But that's because they're open. Most of them have open relationships. My uncle is in a was in a relationship like that, but every time he is, they're always open. They don't close them. They're open ended in more ways than one. Michelle says, I moved back to the U.S. temporarily for a contract. I drive a 2016 with a small dent. My car doesn't say how much I make. That's not a thing everywhere. I like that. And you know what? Can I be honest with you guys? And that is true. Hey, you there says gay marriage wasn't legalized until 2010. But cars, like if you meet a man, this is just some real put the sisters up on gay. If you meet a man that has a Bentley, and unless he is a multimillionaire, not a millionaire, but a multimillionaire, and we have to realize that in order to be a millionaire, you have to make multi-millions and retain them, right? Because if you make $1 million, it doesn't make you a millionaire, because $1 million goes very quickly, right? Once you pay taxes, you're not even a millionaire. So you really have to be a millionaire after taxes, and you have to continue to bring in that revenue to remain a millionaire, right? But if you have a Bentley and you're not a multimillionaire, then probably a lot of your income is going to that overpriced luxury vehicle, right?
Depends on what.
Well, if it's an older one, God bless you, your maintenance issues are gonna.
Women don't know the difference.
They don't, but point is, if you have a man that has a sensible car, that means he could have money in the bank. I'm telling you guys, I learned this from going out with the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a truck. It's a pickup truck. It's going to be a nice pickup truck, but it's not going to be a Bentley, or a Ferrari.
Right.
And they have a modest home on a lot of land, and then they have a boat and a motorcycle and a what's them things called? They got all these toys, and it's like, how much money do you have to have a boat? And the thing about it is, most of these people will say, oh, all of it's paid off. And a lot of these men, they're blue collar workers. They work for the power company. They work for the electric company. The power company, the water company. There's something with their hands, and they are extreme. They have they're very they have a lot of liquid cash, right? Where someone who is an executive and is on a salary where they make maybe 125, 175, they got all this stuff, and their lifestyle is trying to keep up with the stuff. And that guy is out fishing somewhere with millions in the bank. It's crazy how we look at things. And so she says, why would a cowboy have a Bentley? That's not the point. My point is, it's how we judge people, and how many men, a lot of times a woman is looking at a man because of what he has in front of her, but that doesn't speak to what he may be worth, right? So
of what he has.
Yeah, what you can show me and what you drive up in and what's in your bank are often two very different things.
Or your spending habits. What you keep. You got bad spending habits. I don't care how much you make a year. It can go if you. It
will go. Yeah, and usually, if you're trying to keep up with stuff, it can be bad. Speaking of that, I got a question. So I watched. Did you watch Somebody's Son?
No.
Ooh, Consumer O says, I once dated a guy who bought a new BMW every year, but lived with 4 roommates. See, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
But you could lease one that have the same thing. I know a lot of people leasing, telling people they buy.
There was this guy that was really cute in the music industry, And he had like the 7 Series BMW. You know, he looked really good getting out of it. And then I met a girl that, you know, used to date him, and she was like, girl, he lives with his mama. And he don't have any, there's nothing in that house. Mark Breedlove, you are not welcome on this live after you talk so badly about my truck. And I'm so hurt over that. But no, seriously, welcome, Mark. Mark says, I drive a 2014 Chevy Silverado and I'm broke. And Mark is not broke at all. Roommates in a BMW is diabolical, but it's because he knows that women are going to pay attention to the BMW.
The perception is more believable than reality, and men know this, so they you know it. That's what it is.
Well, let me ask the lady something. So I watched Mark. I'm having trouble with my truck, and Mark made a lot of fun of it. Just a horrible post that hurt me deeply. But my husband has a Dodge Ram, and that seems to be the best car in our home at this point. But I watched somebody's son, and the mothers and the aunts asked the women what were their monthly beauty expenses. This threw me off, and I realized that now I understand why young people are so stressed out, right? These young girls were spending, the average was around $1,500 a month on beauty, between their hair, their nails, their lashes, the electrolysis, getting the hair removal. What is happening? What is going on with these girls? The girl Alyssa that Joshua liked so much, she spends $2,500 a month on beauty.
You see, it's like I'm glad we're talking about this, and then you're expecting him to take the weight on some or even all of it.
Yeah, and then okay, so what they did, Mo, is they asked the girls to take off their makeup, which I think,
bam, let's go, continue.
I did not think that was fair to do on television.
He can't see what he's getting.
He can see it, but I felt like doing it for a television was kind of rough.
Good for them, but what happened?
Well, I will say James' girls did not take off their lashes.
Uh-huh.
They refused.
And they played out by now, just so y'all know.
Yeah, but but Joshua, Alyssa is just naturally pretty, and she said, "Oh, I don't care. I don't wear makeup hardly at all." But she does a lot of $2,500 a month. And then she said, the funny thing is, she said, well, I pay it myself. She's a marketing coordinator. Girl, the mom said she got a sugar daddy somewhere. I said, you know what? The mother is right. She ain't paying that bill.
I said, how she, like, get the fuck, excuse me, get out of here.
Why are you right? Yes, Druzy said these theme parties, gender reveals, these young women, because I know some young women I know, for their birthday, it's like, I have to go out of the country. I have to do a photo shoot. I have to do a dinner where I get dressed. I mean, they spend so much money on what is happening. What is happening?
Now y'all know why I like older women. They see, see what I'm saying?
Young women are spending, but I could not believe they were spending that much. Come on, I need to get a massage once a month. I'm like, are they lying for the TV?
This is what I be trying to tell y'all, and the stuff that you hear. And now I'm glad that it's being put out there on television for the world to hear, and other people. Like, it's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Because anytime, if you're spending that just on beauty products and nails and lashes and eyebrows and hair and bundles, then what is your rent or mortgage and your car note and your insurance? What is your monthly coming up to?
Thank you.
And what are you saving?
Anybody spending that much is overcompensating for something.
Well, it shows where your treasures are, there's your heart. So if you're leading with all of that, no. These people are saying that they are doing, they're getting their lashes and all this stuff done twice a month. I was totally shocked. I was shocked.
I'm gonna say this. Take a couple of hundred, because a couple of hundred off of it. They exaggerate, because when they say that number, when they say these numbers, they're putting you in the mind of expect for you to pay. Like I'm noticing that now. Like anytime I just had a woman tell me about this dude that took her on the first date to a castle.
A castle? Where is there a castle?
Yeah, the first date was to Chateau Alliance or whatever that
is not a castle.
I know, but to me, I'm like, but that's the first date, and she's telling me, and in my mind. And she was like, yeah, I went to such and such out the country. He asked me to buy him a bottle of cologne, and he sent me $500. Now, women be saying this stuff. I don't know if it's to be impressive or to set the standard of what she like, but then she's telling me he's doing right, but telling me he's doing too much. And then my thing is, first of all, why are you even telling me what another dude's doing unless you're expecting me to step like?
She's telling you so you know what she's used to. Trust me.
But at the same, no, she ain't even used to that. I know that. I'm not dumb. But at the same time, it's like me telling a woman, like, hey, I'm used to, and they getting a threesome, and it might have happened a few times, but it don't mean it happened every time. I
was still prepared for that reference.
What happened?
I wasn't prepared for that reference.
But that's what I'm saying. If I start talking. This is the BS. Like I give you an example. And a man and a woman in a divorce. Usually the divorce is everything the man is supposed to do is based on what she was used to receiving while they were married, correct?
Facts.
Okay. But if I'm used to receiving oral compensation, nothing a man gets or wants is required. You see what I'm saying? This is the BS. Like nothing a man gets. You know, you be like, yo, she used to cook my dinner. She's not required to do that. She used to wash my clothes. She's not required to do that. But everything I used to do, I'm required to do or at least pay for while she's there. And can't nobody explain that to me where it makes sense. Because I get nothing, but legally she gets damn near everything.
That's not true.
It's what we got time. Break it down for me why that isn't true.
First of all, that conversation of lifestyle that they're accustomed to has to do with children. Okay.
No, but I'm saying so alimony child support does,
but that okay. So if we're talking about alimony, the judge is not telling you to keep getting her hair done. The judge is saying that she has to be able to stay. Hold on. She has to be able to continue to live. It is not fair if you have been living here. If you moved your wife into a, let's say, 5,000 square foot home, right? And then she was not working. Because that's what it's about. It's about what you were doing. If she was not working, then you want a divorce, and now she has to leave her home and totally try to rebuild. If I quit my job because Adrian takes care of us, right? And then we got a divorce. Would it be fair? I gave up that in order to support him as his wife. That is only fair for the person. And alimony is not forever unless you have been married unless you've been married for 20 years or so. If you've been married to a person for 5 years, alimony is not forever. The judge is going to ask you. Let's don't get into these rumors about marriage that are not true. You look at real life situations, the judge says you have to take care of her financially for her living expenses until she can get on her feet. You can't just drop somebody off and be like, oh, well, I don't want you anymore. I got a younger woman. I moved on and I'm out of there.
Most women file for divorce. Let's get to that.
Most women do file for divorce, but it's also because usually there's a reason for that.
Okay. All right.
I filed for divorce because my husband was cheating on me.
I'm just saying, well, that's one incident, and I ain't even saying that's all the way fair. I'm just saying whatever it ends, a man is still required to do everything damn near, or at least pay for.
Pay for. Yeah, pay for.
But a man, everything that he was used to, he's not legally obligated to get any of that.
Well, you couldn't do that in divorce. Divorce says we're going to go our separate ways. He doesn't want her meals. He doesn't want her sex. He doesn't want to be with her. But you cannot just leave that person financially distraught. That's not right.
Like we said, most women do. Then if she files, then she shouldn't be able to do that. If we're talking about she quit her job.
A lot of times the men, I know for myself, both men I've been married to have wanted me not to work and wanted me to.
That don't mean you don't have to. They just want.
No, but if they want me to, and I do it to make them happy.
Do you do everything your man wants to in a relationship?
You keep moving the goalposts.
No, but we all got a choice. If you don't, I get it. But if you do, or if you're capable, or if you had a career prior, your career should be with me or without me, because it's a career.
But if I stop the career to focus on a marriage, then I have to be compensated if the marriage is over.
And okay.
You don't think so? I mean, how is that not right?
No, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying she's wrong for getting that. I'm just highlighting the fact that whatever a man used to get during the divorce, whatever kept his peace, whatever, or tried to keep his peace, or whatever it is, I'm just showing you. And this is just, we just got to deal with it. I'm just trying to show you, like, on both sides, there's give and take, and there's some things that don't seem fair, but you just got to live with. But at the same time, we're not. The fact that we're obligated to do something, and they're obligated to do nothing that kept us, whatever the situation is, whether it was peace, whether it was the clothes, it would be something different. It'd be like, yo, you got to wash this man's clothes at least for 3 to 5 or whatever it is. We get nothing that we would use.
You're not being realistic. And usually his peace is there because he probably had an affair and he's able to enjoy his affair now in peace.
But we keep, okay, that's one form of divorce. Not everybody gets divorced based on affair. He could have lost. The biggest reasons for divorce is money. Thank you.
Money and infidelity.
Right. So let's just say it was half and half. If it's cheating, then what?
If it's cheating, then he needs to, then whoever, he's going to have to pay. But guess what? If it's because of finances, chances are he won't have to pay alimony. Most men don't end up paying alimony anyway. Those are extreme cases where the man makes a lot more money than the woman. And trust me, they have to prove that in court. You cannot just say everybody doesn't get to get alimony.
That's what I'm saying.
If you make $50,000 a year and she makes 45, she ain't getting no alimony.
What's the housewife chick name that was married to Doug Christie?
Jennifer, Doug Christie. Who's Doug Christie?
The older.
Jackie Christie.
When you look into that case, read the transcripts of that, then you want to.
They're still married.
No, but what I'm saying is when they're going through that and the money she was like, I would just tell anybody, read the transcripts to that, and you'll start to understand what I'm saying. The trickery and the foolery, it becomes a different thing with the money, the retirement money. It's not like the NFL. Like OJ, they can't get none of, well, God rest the dead, and for him and Nicole, but they couldn't get the NFL retirement money. No one can touch that. Right,
but that's if they had it taken care of. But Jackie and Doug are still married, and
but they went through the proceedings. Like, to read the transcripts and to see what they were fighting for, and see where her personal assistant flipped on her and was telling her about the money that was hidden. Like,
well, he's okay with it. So
no, he actually wasn't. But because they found out, he had a private investigator. That's how they found out.
I'm saying they're still married, though.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, before that, if you just read the transcripts.
Okay, we'll read the transcripts for next week. And then you may have to come back and make a confession. Because I did a confession today.
No, I mean, they're back together. Or they haven't done it. But I'm just trying to show you where things were hiding and her being. It's crazy. Even if you do make more money than them and you take care of everything, how still a person, because it could be man or woman, conniving people could be when money is at stake. We see.
Well, with divorce and Larsa Pippen is wild. Can we just say that? We need to have a whole show on Larsa Pippen. She got a whole new.
She's wild.
But it's crazy because how do men keep falling for her? How do athletes keep falling for her?
That's the wild part, because she ain't really that good looking to me.
What is it then? She has to be.
I don't know the circle she's in. She could be the baddest chick in the circle,
and don't she be getting she get to every circle.
I don't know what that is at this point. It might just be the name. Dudes want to feel like, yo, I went through that, but she
takes some young ones down. She is 50. She is doing it. Miss Carrie Baby says Mo is right. Jackie Christie was hiding money and it all came out of court. What is
transcripts?
I will read the transcripts. I'm gonna go look it up. I just interviewed Jackie a while ago. Linda says, can you imagine Jackie without makeup?
Thank you. At my job, I was at work. I read the transcripts.
And Mo is serious about these transcripts. Mo, can you imagine Jackie without makeup?
You know who I just saw without makeup? No, I just saw
who?
Get the HELL out of me. I'm trying not to curse no more, y'all. Forgive me. I'm working through it. I'm trying not to curse and I'm falling back off drinking. So forgive as I sip my wine. But listen, I saw there's a tutorial. I want to say I saw it on don't matter what I saw on TikTok or something. Jackie Harry. Another Jack K.
Don't you do that.
He tried to get French on the nigga. But listen.
Don't you do that. Don't you come against Sandra Clark.
Listen.
Don't you do it.
And Jack K, you know, man, she do this thing. She's advertising the skin cream. And she come on there bare face, which I didn't even recognize her. I thought she was Marla Gibbs. Now, she put the thing on her face, and then it transforms while you're talking to her and putting all the joint on and all that. And I was like, because I thought it was a joke. I was like, this ain't her. Now, what's her voice? And I thought it was AI. It still might be AI. I don't know, because I don't want to accept that.
But do you think that men have unrealistic expectations of women without makeup?
No, because if you're a woman in the makeup world, that's unfair to think a man's supposed to know everything with it already on. Now we have, you know what I'm saying, with it already on, we don't know. Half of y'all be like, such and such look good. Any woman could look good with makeup on. I don't count that. I see them take homeless women on tutorials and dress them up. And yeah, she looks good, but she had to dress her up. So like,
okay, but sometimes the woman just looks like, for instance, on the show with the young ladies. I want you to watch it. With the young ladies, I think they all look pretty. What was shade was that Alicia said I don't know what the girl was, Somalia. So the one girl, she said, I don't care about makeup because I'm naturally pretty. And then Alyssa was like, excuse me, she's a hater. She is a mean girl. But the point is, well, let me not say men. It may not be men. It may mostly be women. Because when you take your lashes off, take your highlighter off, and whatever makes your skin even, right? Your foundation. I think that, you know, sometimes people be like, oh, that person looks crazy, but really they just look like a real person.
We know that, but if we see a real people, then we can judge real people on an even platform. But the fact that some of coming out the house real, some coming out the house ain't, so we don't know. If everybody strip it off, then we can start to have that conversation. That's why men, when they do approach you, wherever you're at, early in the morning or whatever, and you're just making a quick run, you have guys talking to you because we like your base. And
I would say that Remy Ma put out that picture of Clarissa Shields, right?
Right.
When she had the short hair and she didn't have
the yellow sweater, and I sent you the video when the new edition. Look on your TikTok.
I saw that. You sent it to me. It made me laugh. But that's that. But she does not. she just doesn't have makeup on. If you take most makeup off, she's
So
not. Now, her hairstyle was not the most feminine, but she's also a boxer.
what did the
And her and Remy Ma, like I said the other night to the people here that joined me for Grace and Gossip, I don't really see the difference between her and Remy Ma. They look alike. It looks like he has a type. He likes a strong, tough, brown skinned woman. They're not ugly, but they're not, they just look, I hope Remy don't think she looks way better than Clarissa.
Let me say this. First of all, Grace and Gossip every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Second of all, they both look tough.
Yeah, but I don't think, but I'm saying, like, I didn't think the picture was a flex.
But I will say this. Clarissa fully glammed. Remy Ma fully glammed. And body surgery. Hey, I'm going to keep it real. Fully glam. Because y'all will edit this and make me sound like what I'm saying. Fully glam. Mm-hmm. Fully glam with all that, it's damn near LBC makeup at this point.
And then Clarissa's also younger.
Right. So this is what it is.
I just wish that we wouldn't. This is what I wish. I wish that when a man is dealing with another woman, women would not. Our first thing is, she ain't cute. She ain't cuter than I am. Like, I wish we wouldn't be like that. Now, I'm not gonna lie. When I was in a situation and I was cheating on, I did want to know if the girl was cuter than me. That's the first thing we look at. But it don't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
The two things I know for sure, they want to know what the women like before you or the women that look like after you. I do know that. Even if they don't admit it, they want to peek to see what you've been dealing with, you know, and then if you break up, they just want to see. It might not mean too much, but they just want to see if you upgraded, you stayed the same, or you went down. And I'm pretty sure if you went down, they're going to crack a little smile.
They're going to definitely crack a smile. But what I realize is it's not really about the looks. It's about how that woman makes that man feel.
That part. And that's what this part they keep overlooking. She don't look that, but maybe she makes that man. You see how she bigging him up. He got a Benz. You know, it's a starting point.
And she's innocent, right? She's really innocent. As much as everybody's giving her a hard time, that girl is innocent. She's doing well. I hope, first of all, I don't even want to get all into it, but that's somebody's husband still. I hate this, but I hate the fact that people are pitting the looks against each other, and they look very much alike to me. It looks like he has a type. And while you're tripping, Papoose and the dude that Remy messing with look alike as well.
Easy to block, Captain. If you see everybody's old photos, and I was going to do a TikTok about this, but if you look at everybody's old, him with his rabbit teeth, and then
Papoose
look like the guy Go Lizard. It's the same dudes.
It is. They both have a type. They just need to get back together because obviously.
That's over with. It ain't no.
Yeah, it's definitely not, and it probably would be toxic. But I don't want that Clarissa to have no baby with Papoose because she needs to fight, and I don't think having birthing a baby is a good idea when you are the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Like, wait till your career is over. Because
well, here's the thing: you say that, but then what's the name's about to drop an album? Cardi B, she had a baby. You say that,
but that's not her album. Is not. Her body. Clarissa is beating women's behinds.
Well, Layla Ali did the same thing.
And Layla Ali said she was never the same after having a baby.
But at the same time, a woman has just that and the right to do in this life. Same thing with Just Hilarious. Get the job on the Breakfast Club. Shortly after, turn up pregnant, do all this maternity leave. Like, hey, if they got a choice, and it is what it is, and then the business people on the other end, they got to do what they got to do, whether to keep them or it is, you know, you can't.
Speaking of that, Just Hilarious is pregnant again.
God. Now, see?
What is that about?
Because here's the thing. Like, her man is in a Papoose situation. But we're not talking about that, but that's what it is. She's the breadwinner. well, I don't know how many he has, but his second with her, I don't know, whatever. But and it will be her third, pardon me. And that's cool, but it's the same situation we were talking about earlier. It's like when the woman makes more money, and young people have to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, they will figure it out for themselves. But I will say this. I will say kudos to Lauren Losa. I really, really support Lauren. I'm really proud of her. She's doing a great job on this Diddy case, but someone came up to her and tried to get her to talk about Jess, and she would not. And the lady was like, y'all were fighting, and she said, you don't fight with your sister. That's my sister. I will not. And I just really, really appreciated that. Because the fact that she's killing it. I'm so proud of you, Lauren. She's killing it, and she's doing it with class. She's showing her journalistic integrity, her true talent. She stood up for her sister, regardless of what their issue really is. Class act. The Breakfast Club really won by having her as a part, and she's going above and beyond. So I just have to say that for her. I'm really, really proud of her.
Just show up and do what you do and let the chips fall. And she did. She represented. She from the one thing out the West, came to the East, did her thing. And as the women say, she kept it cute. She didn't, she could have won another round and she didn't.
Yeah, I love the fact she didn't even allow that woman any energy, any space. That's how you do it.
She understands media, and I think Jess is learning it on the job, but she's going to get it. She's learning it on the job, and she's going to get it. Melissa, what's her name?
Lauren.
Lauren had a head start, but I give Jess some grace. She's raw talent. Boundaries, and she's working through it. But God bless.
Well, they have different strong points. Jess is funny. She's got natural comedic instinct, right? Lauren is a journalist, and she's also very quick with she's very good with talking to people and then pulling out the actual story. So they do very different things, but I just love the fact that Lauren handled that way. I do want to say to Naomi, because I saw that she put earlier in the chat that men don't approach her. Men only care about women when they're in full glam. And I would say to you, that is not true. The men that only are attracted to women that are in full glam or have their bodies done, they're the wrong man. The right man can appreciate a woman in her natural state. And maybe you're just around, there's this old sketch that Cat Williams did. We was like, there's bitch ass niggas and then there's real niggas, right? I'm sorry for cursing, but just trying to make it real with you guys. And only the real dudes don't care about any of that stuff. And they appreciate real beauty, right? Where other guys that care about the other stuff are not real. So just feel really what it is. Sometimes it's not what you have on or what you look like. Sometimes it's your confidence, right? And again, like we talked about, if you're smiling, if you're in a good space, if you feel good about you, that's going to radiate outward and you're going to attract men to you. I remember being in a grocery store and I had my hair up in a ball and no makeup on. I thought I looked a hot mess. I did look a hot mess, y'all. And this guy came up to holler at me and I was like, really? Are you serious? Because I looked so bad. And he was like, I know that you was like I was there getting stuff for Sunday breakfast. And he was like, we could see natural beauty. You're a beautiful woman. He was like, we don't care about none of that. And I think that is the thing. I think a lot of us, it's not our look. A lot of us look like we don't want to be approached or we don't feel like we should be approached. And I think that is what we have to work on. Don't work on putting on more makeup or doing all that. Work on feeling good about yourself, really making sure that when you're going out, you're smiling and you're loving on yourself. And that has no choice but to radiate through, and it's going to come back to you.
Thank you. That's the thing. I hear women complain about men only, or they just like this. Well, if they just like that and that's the only thing they're attracted to, why do you keep doing it? Come out with natural if you want to do to naturally like you. If you want a dude that's naturally that only likes you when you made up, then you know what it is. Cut to the chase and stop the BS. Like, if you want a guy to like you for you, then come out as you. Don't come out as the girl, the lady that made you up at the map counter, or however you did, and they complain about how guys act towards you. Christal just said it, and that's what it really. And I don't mean that. I'm just passionate because we got to listen to ourselves. Men only approach me if I'm in. Then you know what it is. You know who to eliminate. Come out as yourself, and you're gonna attract what's for you, that truly likes you. That's all of us, dudes. If you the hat, you got a big head. Come out with your big ass head, and go around, and you're gonna see who's digging you, who's giving you the energy.
But, okay, PRNB asks, what about men? How could men make themselves more attractive? I got an answer. Go to the gym. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Well, no, I'm not.
No, she ain't.
I really do think men should go to the gym.
She right. You're right.
But because I feel like we want to feel secure and protected, and that's the only way we can feel secure and protected is if you're in the gym.
Well, no, I don't know about that part. I kind of disagree on that part. But no, carry a gun down and bend whenever, and you can feel. But that, I mean, the thing is the guy that's getting himself together and focus on him. Once he's focused on him, his confidence will follow right behind that.
Yeah, I think confidence is important with men. I do think finding clothes that fit you, feeling good about yourself. I think when you see a 58-year-old man trying to dress like a 25-year-old man, I know that you don't like you, and I don't like you either. And so I think that men, if a man is truly confident, like you can see a man that looks like crap. I won't say many celebrity names, but he's got a bunch of labels on. To me, that's not attractive. I agree, Tammy, pull up your pants, be appropriately dressed. I don't want to be going out with or even approached by anyone with sagging, like all that is just ridiculous at this point. Specifically, like no one that any of us would be dating should be looking like that. So if he's trying to look like a street dude, then that is obviously not the person that we want to be talking to. But I think a well-dressed, well-groomed man that cares about himself is attractive. I think that confidence is the most important accessory for any of us. But I think specifically women, because it's like if a man is not confident in himself, then it's kind of hard for us to. If you're afraid to talk to me, then that makes me feel like you should probably not be talking to me, right? Because you don't even think that I would go out with you. So why would I go out with you? You know, so I think confidence is key. And I think for a man to be confident, he needs to really like know where he's at and who he is. Know who he is in life, know what he's doing, what his purpose is, all of that. So I think that makes men more attractive, and going to the gym.
They feel that energy to any fellas in the room and women that have young sons. Like the more your confidence, you know, it's confidence in ability, which is the best. But it's not the best, because if you lose that ability, let's say you're a basketball player and you don't make the NBA, you tore this, whatever the case may be. But the self-confidence you build on what you can do that no one can take from you. There's confidence in things. Like dudes feel confident, a little bit more confident in the car they drive, where they live.
Gotta get out that car, brother.
The women, the jewelry, and all these things. This are all fake confidence accessories. The true confidence is that man going out there in a regular t-shirt, how he walks, chin up, chest out, all these things. And it doesn't come from something that people can take away. Spirit within inside you.
Yeah.
And you can build it. Some people are born with it, or their parents nurture them with it, but you can build it.
You can build it yourself, because even, you know, you can have it when you're younger and go through something and lose it, but I think we all can build it. I agree with Lakeisha 100%. Women, everyone should be more positive. Focus on glass half full instead of half empty. For all aspects of your life, it changes your energy and what you attract. I had to learn that for myself. I learned that as well, Lakeisha. I definitely. And so now, even when I feel like people think I'm corny, because I'll just continue to find the positive. And you know, and anytime someone's telling me all these bad problems, I'm like, but you know, hey, you're here. You have a chance to make it better. You have an opportunity to change your life. I think we all create the life that we want. And yes, we all age, girl. We know, and I ain't gonna lie, when you're young, it doesn't feel like it's coming, but it's coming. It's coming.
For all of us, men and female, and to all the brothers, if there's anyone listening to live chat are gonna listen go back and listen to this. Like when you hear corny or lame, a lot of times when they even say it to you or you hear the whispers in the air, a lot of times that means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Not every time, but a lot of times, because corny in your 20s turns out to look something different in your 40s and 50s. You know,
Facts on facts.
when you're focused and you're doing your job, you know, corny will turn into a lame will turn into the boss. I've seen it many times.
Oh, every single time. Every single time.
Your head was in the books or you weren't easily distracted. But let me say this also. We got a couple more minutes and I got an early thing to do, but we haven't done a minute for Mo. I mean, not a minute for Mo. That's my segment. My bad.
For the love of Mo.
Damn it. There you go. Do you got updates?
I have an update on For the Love of Mo. And unfortunately, it is a sad update. So I have made a decision. Mo does not know about this decision, but after getting several texts from our viewers, right? And I'm sorry, C-Dub, I don't even have the music queued up, but it doesn't matter. Because we are going to discontinue For the Love of Mo. Okay? I'm going to tell you guys why. First of all, quite a few of you guys were like, Christal, that's not cool because, you know, what would a woman think if she knew that you guys are playing a game, right? And I started thinking about it, and there were some nice women. I'm not necessarily sure that Mo would like the women that I was talking to, but I did not want to insult any of those women by, you know, taking them. They could be really excited about meeting this guy, and then we were playing a game. I didn't want to do that. But even more importantly, I know that, you know, I want you to find love, right? And that was where my goal was, to really try to help you find that. But I think that God is going to put that it's going to be for you when it comes, and it won't be coming through me. It'll be coming through you. So it was a game, but it was actually, I was really hoping it would be for real, but I don't think it was actually going to work that way. So I also don't want to interfere with any dating that he's doing on his own. So I just want to be respectful of Mo and his relationships and what he has going on. And so with that being said, we have retired the segment For the Love of Mo. It is on its way out. We give it a goodbye. I deleted the profile because, like I said, if he meets a woman that he's really into, I don't want her having to be disrespected by knowing that that's going on. That's not fair. And I don't want any of the women that I was talking to that might have been really interested and excited, and then they would find out, you know, some kind of other way that, you know, that was his friend talking for him. So yes, it was funeral music because we said goodbye to For the Love of Mo.
Oh, I have nothing to say. Okay. And there it is.
I'm sad, but I think it was the right thing. I did have good intentions, but he does deserve privacy, and his, you know, whoever he's dating deserves respect as well. And not that it was disrespectful, but I don't want anyone to ever feel like that.
Yeah, it was more of a social experiment more than anything else, to think like a woman and take a woman's advice, and that's how you were using the man. But we weren't trying to cause any harm or deception in the matter. We were going to, if it was something of a serious matter, it was something serious. I never met any of the women. I never actually spoke to any of the women. But we don't want anybody to think that we were playing a game. It was an experiment that it turned into something.
Yeah, but these women were really serious. Christal, stopped with the ethics this time. Ma'am, I can't. It's just who I am. I started feeling bad. I did, and it's not even just my fault. There were several of you that reached out to me privately and were like, I would feel bad and I thought about it, and I'm having conversations with these women. I'm like, they really are thinking that they're talking to King Lamont, and it's me. And but I do want to ask you. So one of the questions on the profile was, what song do you think has to play at every family gathering? So hopefully I got this right. What would you say? I should take all the answers, but I deleted it before I got all the answers out. But yeah, what song do you think has to play at every family gathering?
Every family gathering?
Yes.
Family gathering, I would have to go with Frankie Beverly and Maze. You make me happy.
Oh, I got it wrong.
Oh, Lord.
I said Before I Let Go.
Same group.
Yeah, same group. Same group. Yeah, I said Before I Let Go. But I wish I had, when I thought about it, I was like, oh, I should have read all this stuff I had on the profile. But yeah, I definitely, no, not Family Reunion by the OJs. I know Mo wouldn't pick that. Jamie said it's the same song.
Hold on, OJ. Now, that wouldn't have been my first choice, maybe second or third. But OJs is one of my favorite groups.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. I didn't know that was the same song. This is just a long song, so it goes later. That is the same. Hey, you there? So wait, that's the same song. Okay, so I was right.
There you go.
I was right. Okay, that was the first question. That was the first question on the profile.
And most of my family's from that area, so yeah, make sure.
But what I did learn, ladies, real quickly before we go, Mo, I know we need to get out of here, is I learned that a lot of women, which I already know because I'm one, a lot of women have been hurt and really are saying they're not going to try again, but really are hoping that there will be that one out there. And so I thought about how I would have felt if I got online and I was talking to this guy and I was really excited about him. And then, it was not really real. So I was like, I can't do this. Right. But I really do think, thank you, Lakeisha. I think I give really good relation advice to date Mo because I know Mo, but I don't want to intrude on anything that he has going on authentically, right? So that's not fair. But yeah, I learned that women really do want something. They say they're not, but they really do because that's just fear. And that they don't show full body pictures.
See, we're all learning here. Well, I knew that, but you got that. Okay.
I did not know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them. Noah said, that's kind of sad. I feel like I won't see you. So girl, you was only coming for the love of Mo. We still can have conversations about what's happening, but I just don't want to be tricking nobody that really is excited about King Lamont.
So here's
he not like them.
If King Lamont's hilarious. But I mean, listen, man, I'm open, I'm single, I'm not dating anyone, there's nothing serious. I go on a few dates every now and then. So trust me, if you're feeling a certain way and we can put something together, and if you live in one state over.
And maybe we could do For the Love of Mo where the person knows. I just felt bad because these women didn't know.
And on here.
I'm even open to going on a page and saying, I'm looking for a woman for my friend. This is my friend.
This is what I'm saying. We
could do it like that because I just don't want to be them thinking that it's Mo. And what if it's one I like and then he don't like her and I can't make him go out with her? So I would rather say that's what we can do, and then we can read those profiles. So we will not kill For the Love of Mo. We'll just refurbish it. Okay, we'll reboot. We'll do a reboot, and we will come back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, it is time to shoot your shot again, Linda V. I'm for it.
Can I say this? And I ain't gonna say what me and you said privately before I started even on this channel, but I saw a couple of ladies' profiles out. Not profile, just the picture. What do you call the picture, Christal? The thumbnail?
The profile picture?
Their profile pictures. We got some nice looking viewers out there.
Yeah. Yeah, of course we do. And they're intelligent because they can keep up with the wit here. A rebranding, if you will, of For the Love of Mo. We will be back. We'll be back next Wednesday with a rebrand. Mo, get some rest. Chat. We love you guys. Jamie, thanks for hanging out with us. Jamie, my friend, and I did an amazing episode of Run That Back podcast.
I can't wait for y'all to see it. C-Dub is editing it now. It's the guy episode. Christal and
Jamie.
I should have known that because I met Jamie before a couple times. Did an amazing job.
We had fun.
And then we're gonna do some more live and have fun with it. But I thank y'all in front of the public, and I thank y'all privately. It was a dope episode, and it's about to drop real soon.
Yeah, well, you guys like this on the way out. We will be back here Friday at 10 for the Never Ever Mess. They tricked us and was away last week, but they're back this week. And I have a little tea from one of the producers that I'm going to spill on Friday. So wish our Scorpio Moe good rest. I love you guys for watching, and I will see you on Friday.
Friday, y'all. Be easy. Be safe.